In Lincolnshire, for example, there is a bark hermitage from the 18th century that still has its original furniture. Now, in that case, it was an imaginary hermit. So there's a little table made from the trunk of a tree and a hermit's chair and 4 other chairs for visitors, and on the table there were placed things like a pair of eyeglasses and so on to suggest that the hermit had just stepped out. So that sort of hermit was an imaginary hermit. But there are also many real ones. In some cases, people advertised for hermits, and indeed aspiring hermits also advertised. There is, for example, an advertisement in Plymouth in which an aspiring hermit says, experienced hermit seeks new situation, normal compensation required, that kind of thing. And there are also advertisements for people looking for hermits, and they generally specify that it's a 7-year job. The hermit won't be allowed to wash or cut his hair, or in some cases cut his nails, so would live effectively in squalor. Now, this is an 18th century phenomenon, but it goes on into the early 19th century, whereupon the hermits disappear, leaving a kind of cultural void. And one of the things I've had to think about in this book is the way that cultural void was filled. And one of the ways in which it was filled, as the great garden became the small garden, the garden of our suburbs, was by the use of garden gnomes. Now, garden gnomes have their own history. They come from Thuringia in Germany, but they did fill the space for the garden gnome. They're miniature people in the garden. The difference, of course, is that aristocratic hermits are very upper class, whereas gnomes, as you know, are very working class, which is why until this year, when the ban has been temporarily lifted at the Chelsea Flower Show, garden gnomes have been banned. So they have a very odd kind of cultural decline, as it were, from live people hired to look picturesque and to represent melancholy to little decorative figures often unloved in our suburban gardens. I very much enjoyed writing the book, as you can probably tell, and I hope that you will enjoy reading the book.